Regardless, things went on like that for a while. Before I knew it, another 2 weeks had gone by. Since I started going back to work, even with my job cutting into my training time, I was still managing to make some fair progress, and my collection of liquid steel would just keep stacking. At this point, I was actually surprised I was able to keep fitting it all inside. But according to Nylea, after giving it a check, there didn't seem to be any ill effects from me stowing it away in my stomach, even in these kind of amounts. And the size of the orb that floated in my stomach hadn't increased at all, despite the fact that at this point, I basically had my own floating cloud of liquid steel, triple the amount that I had in my armor, at minimum. And even though it had only been about a month since I started working out, I was actually getting some surprising results. Once again, it turned out that being the host to a symbiote has its advantages, including the ability to improve the effects of physical exercise, meaning I can actually get more out of it. I was actually starting to build a very decent tone. I wasn't so wiry anymore. I actually had some muscle mass to me. I mean, I wasn't exactly an action star, but it was starting to show results. And even my mental workouts with the liquid steel had started to yield some results. It was becoming easier to lift other objects with the liquid steel, meaning my telekinetic abilities were becoming stronger. By Nylea's estimate, it was about a 15% increase, which I wasn't going to complain about. The only thing I do have to say is that at this point I'm starting to get a little bit bored. I thought for sure that someone would show up trying to do something evil by now. I mean, I do have to eventually interrogate one of these guys, find out information, figure out where the ship is, where Becky is. But I was getting no results at all. Until one of them showed their faces, I was stuck. At this point, I figured I had collected enough of the liquid steel that I should probably start going out and heroing again. I was just finishing one of my workouts when I heard a knock at my door. So I grabbed my towel, wiping the sweat off my face, and heading out to see who it was. Most likely Ned or Vicky coming by for a visit, wanting to hang out, watch some TV, or something like that. But I actually got a fair shock when I opened the door to find Vicky's brother, Victor. Oh, this guy. I have superpowers now, but for whatever reason, the look on his face always gives me a little bit of the chills. Yo, what's up? Victor said as he walked in the door, straight past me, without even getting an invitation. But he really wasn't one for pleasantries or politeness. Hey, what's going on? I said, a little bit perturbed that I was now having to deal with him. Vicky's not here right now. If you're looking for her, I could go ahead and give her a call, but I assumed you'd have her number, I said, closing the door behind him. Nah, actually that's not why I'm here, Victor said, lighting up a cigarette. Oh, dude, could you not do that in here? The smell actually bothers me, I said, looking at him fairly annoyed. Calm down, Nancy boy, it's a cigarette. It's not gonna ruin the scent of your manly apartment. Your little fortress of solitude here, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Look, I'm not much for idle chit-chat, Victor said with a serious expression as he took a drag of his cigarette. I'm here because I got some serious shit needs doing. Normally, you're not the person that I'd come to for these kind of things. But seeing as you've got those new shiny powers of yours, I figured I'd ask a favor. And for the moment, we'll say I owe you one. There's something really bad. Something that, quite frankly, I just can't deal with on my own. And believe me, there is very little in this world I can't deal with on my own. I'm only asking your help because, quite frankly, without something extraordinary, beating this one just ain't doable. I've had to avoid it for years. Quite frankly, there are lots of people in the industry that I work in, which is basically saving people from things that they don't know exist. Things that crawl around in the shadows at night. And not a single one of them, at least not any of them with a brain in their head, would even think about doing what I'm asking you to help me do. I have one of the highest, most stellar reputations in the business, and even I think it's kind of freaking crazy. But I saw that display you put on the news. With somebody like you helping me out, I think we might be able to pull it off, even if only just. You are a hero after all, right? You want to protect people, save lives? Well, trust me, man. If you want to save people's lives, taking this one out will save more lives than you could possibly imagine. I'm after a killer in true form, a bloodthirsty maniac who won't think twice about killing basically anyone. Hell, they enjoy it. The problem being that they're also insanely powerful. And I do mean that in every sense of the word. They set a standard for not to be fucked with that makes most people shit themselves in pure fright. Which is the one and only reason that I'm asking for your help. I want to put this one to bed. They've been running around wreaking havoc far too long. For a moment, I sat there looking at Victor, smoking his cigarette, and of all things, asking me for help. I never really pictured him for the type to ask for assistance for basically anything. So if he was asking for it, there's no doubt he needed it. And if he says that people's lives are at stake in this, I'm not sure I can turn him down either. Okay, I said. I'll help you with this crazy person of yours. That's insanely powerful, I said, taking a sigh. But I just hope I'm not biting off more than I can chew. Well, Victor replied, I'm actually surprised you agreed that quickly. Figured you might get squeamish. But then again, you did seem to have more guts than I gave you credit for. Even after that busload of kids, seeing that showdown at the plaza, where you took that hell of a beating and still kept fighting. Honestly, I didn't really think you had that much stone in you. Or hell, maybe it's steel, he replied, smiling a bit as he took another drag of his cigarette. Okay, so I suppose I should give you the details, let you know what we're in for, if you help me with this. All in all, this boils down to one simple thing. We are going on a vampire hunt. And not just any vampire. The freaking queen bitch of vampires. I'm talking this woman puts the M in mad. The S in serial killer. The C in crazy. The B in bloodthirsty. And every other letter you can affiliate with being just murderous in your bones. This psychopath is hundreds of years old. And she's lived that long because, once again, she sets a standard for do not fuck with me. People who challenge her die in ways too horrifying to think about. In the world of shadows that I live in, her reputation is such that she's developed a moniker, a name that pretty much everyone knows her by. They call her the Mad Queen. Alice Wallengard. I hope you're ready for this, because I assure you, this is not going to be a cakewalk. This may be the most terrifying goddamn experience of your life, Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if it's the most terrifying experience of my life. And believe me, that's fucking saying something.